Okay, so you've been sending us some really interesting stuff about XRP,
Yeah.
and honestly, trying to make sense of it all on your own can sometimes feel like, navigating through a maze.
Right.
And so that's what we're here to do is kind of cut through some of the noise and get right to the heart of what XRP and Ripple are really all about.
Sure.
Especially when it comes to fixing the surprisingly old and kind of clunky ways we move money across borders.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of shocking when you think about it.
It is, yeah.
Um, so you flagged a YouTube transcript as kind of our main source material here, which is great for this kind of deep dive.
Yeah.
So we'll be getting into, all the little details.
Perfect, yeah.
And the goal today is really pretty straightforward.
Okay.
We want to give you a really clear picture of XRP's function.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it's a different animal compared to the systems we're using now,
Gotcha.
and why this could be a really big deal as the financial world keeps changing.
Makes sense.
Okay, so let's unpack this XRP thing.
Yeah.
What is it, and how's it working?
Well, it's kind of wild when you really look at how international money transfers work even today.
Yeah.
We're talking about systems that are, in many cases, like decades old.
Seriously.
Yeah, think about it. Like, if you wanted to send money overseas, instead of a straight shot,
Right.
your money often bounces through several different banks on the way,
Really?
each one taking a little cut and adding a little time to the whole process.
It's like trying to video call someone across town, but your signal has to bounce through like 3 different continents first.
Exactly.
It's so weird.
It is.
And it's not just slow, it's costing all of us money.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, we're talking about the big names here.
Right.
Swift, MoneyGram, Western Union.
Familiar names.
You know those names, but as the source material pointed out,
Yeah.
they can be surprisingly sluggish. The fees can really add up.
Yeah.
And there are sometimes even limits on where you can actually send your money.
Right. And I think what's really fascinating and it really kind of brings this problem home
Yeah.
is the example of sending money from Japan to Nicaragua.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see the banks in these two countries,
Uh-huh.
they don't usually have a direct way to exchange currencies.
Interesting.
So the transaction often has to go through this roundabout way,
Oh, okay.
converting to U.S. dollars first,
Wow.
then to Nicaraguan currency.
Okay.
This convoluted route,
Yeah.
it's not just inconvenient.
Right.
This represents billions of dollars lost every year
Seriously?
in fees and just unrealized economic potential.
Wow.
XRP tackles this head on,
Okay.
offering a single, more streamlined path.
Makes sense. So that's where Ripple comes into the picture, right?
Exactly.
The source material described Ripple as this network built for speed,
Yeah.
aiming to move money as fast as information travels on the internet.
Uh-huh.
It's a pretty powerful comparison when you think about how instant our digital communication has become these days. Like, why should moving our money still take days?
You got it.
It doesn't make sense.
Nope.
So, and a key concept to grasp with Ripple is this idea of a protocol.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So think about how you access a website.
Okay.
You use HTTP.
Right.
That's the hypertext transfer protocol.
Yeah.
It tells your computer how to talk to web servers.
Fine.
And then for transferring files,
Yeah.
there's FTP.
Right.
And so the XRP ledger, as we've been talking about,
Uh-huh.
is Ripple's fundamental protocol.
Exactly.
It's the underlying set of rules that allow banks and other financial institutions around the world
Yeah.
to connect and transact directly.
It's the foundation.
So instead of relying on these older systems like SWIFT that can take days,
Yeah.
banks can connect to RippleNet and
Oh, yeah.
use this XRP ledger protocol
Right.
to send money almost instantly and with much lower fees.
It's a game changer.
It really is. It's a huge difference compared to the delays and unexpected charges we've all either experienced or at least heard about.
Yeah. Or worried about it. Right. Exactly.
It takes the guesswork out.
It does.
Yeah.
And we saw some mentions of RippleNet and the Ripple Transaction Protocol.
RXP.
But RXP, are those the same thing?
They're related, but not exactly the same.
Oh,
so
sorry.
RippleNet is the bigger picture.
Uh-huh.
It's the network of all those financial institutions using Ripple's technology.
Gotcha.
The Ripple Transaction Protocol, or RXP.
Yeah.
That's the specific set of rules and standards
Okay.
that govern how transactions happen on the XRP ledger itself.
Makes sense.
You could think of RippleNet like the highway system
Okay.
and RXP as the traffic laws
Yeah.
that keep everything running smoothly.
That's a helpful way to visualize it.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does RippleNet actually work behind the scenes?
All right, well.
The transcript mentioned something called validators.
Ah, yes, the validators, they're key.
Okay.
Think of them like independent auditors,
Okay.
all checking the same ledger to make sure no one is cheating.
Yeah, these are computers all over the world
Uh-huh.
that maintain a shared transparent record.
Okay.
That's the XRP ledger
Gotcha.
of who owns what.
Makes sense.
And importantly, they also enforce the rules of that RXP we talked about.
Right, the traffic laws.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So here's the cool part.
Yeah.
Much like the Bitcoin network, anyone can technically operate a validator.
Seriously?
Yeah, this helps make the network more robust and decentralized.
So it's not just Ripple Labs calling all the shots.
Nope, not at all.
That's an important distinction.
It is.
And then the transcript also talked about gateways.
Right.
What role do those play?
Gateways are essentially the on-ramps and off-ramps to RippleNet
Okay.
for businesses, mainly banks.
Okay.
They act as intermediaries, allowing these institutions to plug into the Ripple ecosystem
Gotcha.
using familiar methods.
So it's like,
Think of them like the standard banking interfaces
okay.
institutions are used to using
Yeah.
to get into this new tech.
Right.
Much like they access the existing financial system.
Okay.
It's all about making the transition smoother.
That makes sense.
And, the source material reminds us
Yeah.
that Ripple's been developing this technology since way back in 2004,
Wow.
evolving into Ripple Labs in 2012,
Uh-huh.
with a clear focus on these institutional applications.
Okay.
Unlike Bitcoin, which was initially more for individual peer-to-peer stuff.
Right. Right. So while Bitcoin was this groundbreaking concept for individuals,
Yeah.
Ripple seems to be going after the infrastructure that banks and payment processors use.
Exactly. That's the target audience.
Okay. Now, what about the experience for like the everyday user?
Hmm.
If a bank adopts Ripple, will their customers even notice any changes?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And the analogy in the transcript is spot on.
Okay.
Think about streaming a movie on Netflix.
Yeah.
You hit play and it starts.
Right.
You don't need to understand all the complex tech behind it.
Uh-huh.
The servers, the networks, all that.
Yeah. No one wants to know about that.
Yeah. Right. It just works. Exactly. So similarly, if you send money through a bank that's using Ripple,
Yeah.
you as the customer probably won't see a totally different interface.
Okay.
The real magic happens in the background.
Uh-huh.
Your payment gets routed through the XRP ledger.
Gotcha.
The only time you might notice something different is if there's a problem like buffering in our Netflix analogy.
Okay.
Otherwise, the goal is a seamless, invisible upgrade.
So faster.
Yeah.
Cheaper.
Cheaper.
And I don't even know it's happening.
Ideally, no, you wouldn't even know.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So Ripple is the network, but then there's XRP, the actual cryptocurrency.
Right.
And the transcript also mentioned IOUs.
Uh-huh.
So how do these pieces all fit together?
Okay, so this is where things can get a little murky.
Yeah.
It's important to be clear here.
Okay.
So Ripple, the company,
Uh-huh.
created the Ripple network.
Okay.
This network is designed to make it easier to transfer different forms of value,
Yeah.
including IOUs and XRP. Now, IOUs, as the name suggests,
Yeah.
are basically digital IOU notes.
Makes sense.
They represent a promise to pay a specific amount
Okay.
of some real-world asset,
Uh-huh.
like US dollars, gold, even airline miles.
Interesting.
Yeah, the key thing with IOUs is trust.
Okay.
You have to trust the entity that's issuing them.
Right.
If a major bank issues an IOU for $100, the recipient trusts that the bank will honor that IOU.
Okay, so IOUs are like digital stand-ins for traditional assets.
Exactly.
And their value hinges on the credibility of whoever issued them.
You got it.
So where does XRP come into this?
All right, so XRP is different.
Okay.
It's a native digital asset,
Okay.
a cryptocurrency that lives right on the XRP ledger.
Uh-huh.
It can move value without needing traditional middlemen
Interesting.
or the inherent trust that's needed for an IOU.
Okay.
The transcript has a great example.
Yeah.
Imagine a bank in one country needs to send money to a bank in another,
Uh-huh.
instead of going through multiple correspondent banks and dealing with all those currency conversions.
Right.
They could just convert their funds into XRP,
Uh-huh.
transfer the XRP super fast with tiny fees across the XRP ledger,
Okay.
and then the receiving bank can convert the XRP back into their local currency.
Oh, I see. So it's like a bridge.
It's a bridge currency.
Oh,
Right.
that's really clever.
It streamlines the entire process.
That sounds way more efficient.
Oh, it is?
Now, the transcript also highlighted some unique things about XRP itself.
Yeah.
Particularly how it differs from a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin.
Right. XRP has some key differences.
Okay.
First, unlike Bitcoin, it wasn't mined into existence.
Uh-huh.
All 100 billion XRP were created right from the start.
Wow, so it's a fixed supply.
Exactly, fixed supply.
Okay, and that affects how it's distributed and its overall supply, right?
Absolutely, it has big implications.
Okay.
Secondly, the way transactions are verified is different.
Oh, okay. How?
So Bitcoin uses this proof-of-work system,
right.
which needs a ton of energy for mining.
Yeah, all those computers churning away. Exactly, but XRP uses a consensus-based validation process.
Interesting. What does that mean?
So this involves a network of trusted nodes.
Mm-hmm.
Those validators we talked about.
Okay.
They all vote on whether a transaction is legit.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like a digital democracy.
I like it.
Yeah.
And this consensus mechanism is what allows for those incredibly fast transaction speeds, right?
You got it.
The transcript mentioned XRP transactions taking like 4 seconds.
Yeah, blazing fast.
Compared to Bitcoin's like 10 minutes.
Yeah, huge difference.
And a much higher capacity for processing transactions, something like 1,500 per second versus Bitcoin's 7.
That's right.
Those are some really significant differences in speed and scale.
Oh, absolutely. It's orders of magnitude faster.
Wow.
And the validator consensus process is key to that efficiency.
Okay.
So when someone initiates an XRP transaction, it's broadcast to that whole network of validators.
Gotcha.
And then these validators talk to each other.
Okay.
The ones they trust.
To figure out if the transaction is legitimate.
So it's like a cross-check.
Exactly. Checks and balances.
I like it.
And if a supermajority, specifically 80% or more.
Wow, that's a high bar.
It ensures accuracy.
Okay.
So if they all agree the transaction is legit, it gets permanently recorded on the XRP ledger.
Okay, and I saw something about a unique node list.
Or UNL.
Or UNL. What's that all about?
Each operator running an XRP validator keeps their own UNL.
Okay.
It's basically a customized list of the specific validators that their own validator trusts.
Oh, so it's like a circle of trust.
Exactly. It's all about who you trust.
Interesting.
And this is a really cool feature.
Okay.
Because it allows for flexibility and decentralization at the same time.
Okay.
The network itself is open.
Right.
Anyone can technically run a validator, but each operator gets to choose who they think is reliable enough to validate transactions.
Gotcha.
So institutions, for example, can pick validators run by entities they already trust.
So it adds another layer of security.
Exactly, an extra layer of control and security.
Now, I know a lot of people looking into XRP are thinking about it as an investment.
Yeah, that's natural.
The transcript touches on that, but then wisely shifts the focus back to the big picture.
Right.
The fundamental changes this could bring to global money movement.
It's about the bigger picture, for sure.
It's a huge deal.
It is potentially a massive change to a multi-trillion-dollar industry.
That's not small potatoes.
No, it's not.
And this is crucial adoption on that kind of scale.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Absolutely, it's a process.
There will be bumps in the road.
There always are with big changes.
And the transcript uses some really great historical examples to illustrate this.
Yeah.
Like the internet. It took decades to go from its early stages to where it is today.
To the point where we all use it every day.
Right.
Took a long time.
And mobile phones followed a similar path.
Absolutely.
Even the digital camera, which Kodak actually invented way back in the 1970s.
Wow.
Didn't really take off until it was part of mobile phones much later.
Yeah, that's a great example.
These examples really drive home the point that even revolutionary technologies, they need time to mature.
Yes, they need time to grow.
For the infrastructure to catch up.
Right.
And for people and institutions to figure out how to actually integrate them into their lives and systems.
It's a learning curve for everyone.
It is.
Yeah.
But then the transcript hits us with this really powerful question.
Okay.
What happens when a multi-trillion-dollar industry that's built on all these inefficiencies encounters a solution that just straight up eliminates them?
It's a game changer.
The incentive to eventually adopt something like XRP from that perspective seems almost unavoidable.
It's hard to argue with that logic.
Right.
When something is that much better and more efficient.
Yeah.
It's hard to ignore.
And it moves the conversation away from all the hype.
Oh, absolutely.
And focuses on the real value.
Fundamental value.
XRP in this light isn't just another trendy cryptocurrency.
Nope.
It's presented as a technology that solves a real problem.
A big one.
Yeah. The slow, expensive, and often ridiculously complicated way we send money internationally.
A headache for everyone.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And this utility is what makes it different.
It sets it apart for sure.
And according to the source material, it's what positions XRP as a potentially essential part of the future of finance.
It's not just hype, it's utility.
Right. Understanding the problem and how XRP aims to solve it is presented as a huge advantage.
It gives you a real edge.
It does.
In understanding its potential.
So to recap our deep dive today, we explored those outdated systems used for international money transfers.
Those old clunky systems.
Right. We talked about the multiple intermediaries, the high costs, the slow speeds.
Pain point.
And then we looked at Ripple as this network designed for faster money movement. Using the XRP ledger protocol.
The new way.
Yeah, we talked about how RippleNet functions, with validators maintaining that shared ledger, and gateways acting as access points for institutions.
The on-ramps and off-ramps.
We clarified what IOUs are as digital versions of existing assets, and XRP as a native cryptocurrency built for efficient cross-border payments.
Designed for speed and efficiency.
Emphasizing those unique things about it, like being pre-created and having that rapid consensus-based validation process.
Cutting-edge stuff.
And finally, we talked about the potential for mass adoption, acknowledging that it'll take some time.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
But that those fundamental efficiency gains, they create a really strong reason for change.
Yeah. It's hard to argue with that level of improvement.
It is.
And that brings us to a final thought for you to chew on.
Okay.
We've discussed how other big technologies have been adopted in the past.
Right.
Thinking about those patterns. What unforeseen factors beyond just the tech itself might speed up or slow down the adoption of solutions like XRP? Think about things like changes in regulations, global political events, or even entirely new innovations.
Yeah.
That could come out of nowhere and change the game.
It's a complex landscape for sure.
It is. It's a lot to consider.
It is. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
My pleasure.
And for bringing this important and complicated topic to our attention.
Glad to do it.
We appreciate your curiosity and engagement.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.
Sounds good.